You've probably heard the phrase, in the beginning was the Word. And for many of the world's religious texts agree that it was sound, or the Word, which created the universe. And everything in the universe is made up of a vibration, and each unique vibration or frequency emits some kind of sound. And the power of words is important to understand as a science. And specifically within the Hindu tradition, there is the science of sound known as mantra. And it was the application and practice of mantra that directly led to my freedom from the type of life and where I was at that certain level. Ultimately, it resulted in a Kundalini activation, which completely changed the course of my life. For the better, I might add. And I've maintained that course, which has been 2 years now, going over 2 years. So I can directly point to the word, to the sound of the word, to the science of sound. And specifically from the individual, the mantra that I worked with was from Sadhguru and his Isha Kriya Yoga, his Isha Institute, and their musicians that had provided a video on YouTube that was like an 11-hour and an 11-minute video, but I worked with the entire video throughout the day. And interestingly, there's a quote from Sadhguru where he says, "I have met a few million people, but I have initiated many, many times more people who I have never met." And that is certainly true in my case. I've never met Sadhguru, but I consider him my guru. I consider him the one who initiated me, or directly through what he offered on YouTube. And I believe in that instance, Sadhguru, I consider my guru. Now, a guru, to understand the word guru, G-U-R-U, is not an ordinary teacher. This guru is a spiritual master. And traditionally, the word guru means one who expels darkness and brings in light into consciousness. And that is certainly the case with my experience with Sadhguru. The mantra, the science, the mantra that was provided in the video that he had on YouTube completely reoriented my life towards the light, expelled the darkness that was pretty much my configuration at the time. And specifically, the mantra that I worked with it equates to this. It says, "The Lord of Yoga, the Great One, three-eyed one." Now, keep in mind, this is all highly symbolic. Don't confuse the form for the formless, for the meaning behind the surface level, the 3D. We're going to look at the 5D, the harmonic universe, number 2 meaning beyond these words. But these words, the mantra, the science of sound, which I worked with, was in Hindu. So it's Yogeshwaraya Mahadeva, the Lord of Yoga, the Great One, Trayambakaya, Tripurantaka, three-eyed one, your third eye, destroyer of the Tripura, Trikagni Kala, Kalaya, Kalagni Rudraya, he who like fire devours the past, present and future within himself, Nila Kantaya, Mrityunjayaya, blue-throated one who has conquered death, Sarveshwaraya Sada Shivaya, Lord of everything, the Eternal One, Mahadevya Namaha, O Great One, we bow down to you. So this was the actual phonetics, the mantra, the syllables that I worked with that led to this Kundalini activation, and was a significant, probably the most significant event for my life, because it essentially took me from a very non-fruitful sort of life that I was living, and completely put me upon a better path. Let's just say it like that. But linguistically, to understand the word mantra and the power of words, but more specifically the sound of these words. And linguistically, the word mantra is in Sanskrit, it implies a specific structure of sonic patterns coded in syllables and vowels that work as a spiritual tool to liberate the mind from ignorance, illusion, and evil instincts. And I can, if there's nothing else that anyone has ever heard me utter in these videos and in my testimony, I can certainly tell you that this is true. That it works as a spiritual tool to liberate the mind from ignorance, illusion, and evil instincts. And the specific configurations, which I just shared with you, of syllables and the corresponding combinations of phonemes in the mantra make this powerful carriers of the cosmic energy of sound. And for anyone who is perhaps caught up in any sort of rut in life or one direction that they feel trapped, whether it be through your lifestyle, other circumstances, if you can but seek out some agency to begin to work with sound, and I know I was making some videos along that with the vibratory Kabbalah, and I want to pick back up with that. But if anything, to bring back the power of the word, your sound, and how it interacts with your divine anatomy, the divine design of your anatomy. Because in the beginning, the Word was, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, because the Word is sound. And it is the implicate order behind, to use a quantum physics phrase from David Bohm, the implicate order is sound. Look at the science of cymatics, but sound and the correlation between the vibrations, the certain vibrations and pitches of sound, and the geometric patterns that are produced. And if you have ugly sounds or discordant sounds, it produces sort of these sort of chaotic type of images or patterns. And that's fine if you're going to explore that, but the implicate order of the universe is sacred geometry, and it is well-ordered shapes that are basically related to sound, which sound is ultimately the entire origin of everything. And I'm not sure which would precede the light, but in the beginning it all was a great void, a void of dark matter. And I believe it had to be a sort of very forceful expulsion of energy, which I believe was sound, that created everything. And in fact, that's what all the religious texts of the world say. It was sound. And so the word is very powerful. The words you speak, the words you think, the thoughts you think, the thoughts that are composed of the words, these are very powerful. And I highly encourage anyone to look into the science of mantra and begin to practice. Don't, read, it can take you to some certain level, but to actually practice, to begin to utter these sounds and feel the change that comes about, is my sincerest hope for you, dear, esteemed, honorable, notable viewer. Namaste, namaskaram.